Hey, this is DevPod, and in a previous video, I showed you how you could use DevPod to spin up dev containers in VS Code or any other IDE. Well, today, I'm going to show you how to build your own dev container so you can install whatever software you need to get up and running, and then push that up to GitHub so you can share it with other people, and you can all develop off of a common dev environment. If that sounds cool to you, if you like where this video is going, please feel free to drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. And if there's other content that you want to see that I'm not covering, please add a comment. Let me know what you want to see. I am taking suggestions. Now for this dev environment, I'm going to need two things: OpenTofu and Ansible. I'm going to be working with Cisco Modeling Labs, CML, to automate some network infrastructure setup. And I need my OpenTofu and Ansible in order to do that. So first, we're going to look at how do we install Ansible. I'm going to install on an Alpine image, right, to make it as small as possible. And I know I'll need Ansible, so I'm going to run this in my Dockerfile. And then I'm going to also install OpenTofu, right? Here's the OpenTofu installation instructions for Alpine. We pull a script, an installer script. I'm actually going to use wget, right? Because curl won't be installed. It's Alpine. Make sure it's got the permissions in order to run the installer script, actually run the installer script, and then remove the installer script from my local image. Okay, so what does that look like in a Docker file? Well, it looks like this. So here it all is, right? And in my installation for Ansible, I've also added a couple other things that I know I'm going to need: OpenSSH, SSH and Git, right? But there it is. I'm going to run my APK add Ansible. I'm going to pull the installer script for OpenTofu, give it permissions, run it, and remove it. All right, that all being what it is, let's actually build a Docker image. Now, this is going to be pretty fast because I've already built this image before, but there it is. Okay, I can push that up now, and then we can try running it in DevPod. All right, so first I'm going to log into GitHub container registry so I can actually push this image up. Right? I'm going to echo a token that I've already got stored. I'm going to log in using Docker login. Great, login succeeded. So now I can Docker push GHCR local, and I'm going to push tofu Ansible test dev container 0.3. That's the one I just built. So that's going to push up. Okay, great. So now it's all pushed up, and I can start looking at how I can use this in a dev container. So now I did something I wouldn't normally do, and this is just for demo purposes. What I did is I included my dev container JSON file in the same repo as the image that I'm building. Normally you would put this in your target Git repo, right? The one that you're actually going to develop in. And this would reference an image that's built in a different repo. Now, this is just for demo purposes. So probably not how you're going to set it up. This is not how I'm going to set it up when I actually work on this project that I'm using this image for. This is just for demo purposes. So here we are. We've got devcontainer.json, and I'm targeting, right, that's the name, tofu Ansible, and I'm targeting the image that I just built. It's going to be colonjlac tofu Ansible dev container. Oh, there was no V. Okay. And I've added some customization. So post create command, I'm going to actually install a bunch of Ansible modules, right? I'm going to install the Cisco iOS and Cisco NXOS because that's what I'm going to be using in my CML. And then beyond that, I've added some extensions to make sure that they are installed in my VS Code environment, right? I've got my OpenTofu plugin and my Red Hat Ansible plugin. All right, this is what I'm going to use now that the image is built to pull down and start running a dev environment in DevPod. So let me push this up. I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to git commit modifies image version in container JSON. Cool. I'm going to push. And then I'm going to come into DevPod and I'm going to set up my local dev environment. All right, check it out. This is the repo that I've got my dev container JSON defined in. It's also the same repo, like I said, that has my Dockerfile definition. Again, we wouldn't normally do this, but demo purposes. So if I come into the dev container folder, there's the dev container JSON we just looked at, right? It's targeting this build image that's got a tag 0.3. And if I come into the packages tab within GitHub, we can see here's my 0.3. This is the one I just pushed and built, right? So let me copy this URL, and then I'm going to come into DevPod and I'm going to create a new workspace. I'm going to paste in the URL for my dev container. Again, you would paste in the URL for the repo that's got your devcontainer.json defined. All right, doesn't have to be the same repo where your image is defined, just the devcontainer.json. That's the important thing. I'm going to specify the Docker provider, and I'm going to build this in VS Code. Interesting fact, I actually spent a lot of time trying to get this to work in JetBrains IDEs, and I could not do it. I brutalized the hell out of this repo trying to figure it out. So that'll be another video one day of how I can debug building dev containers in JetBrains IDEs. But for now, it definitely works in VS Code. So I'm going to name this video demo as a workspace. All right, everything's set up. I've got my repo. I've got my provider as Docker. I'm targeting VS Code, and I'm going to create. So now Workspace is going to build. It's going to pull this image, which it should go pretty quickly because I pulled it a lot when I was building this out. There's probably a bunch of stuff I want to block from the video. There we go. And it starts VS Code. So now, just wait for it to set up. I do trust the authors of this folder, and here's my repo, right? If I pull up terminal, I should be able to tofu, and it works, and I should be able to Ansible, and it works. So that's the dev environment. It's all set up. Now there's a bunch of caveats I want to add here, right? First, I built this locally. That's not what you want to do, right? This will only work on a Mac that has an ARM64 chip. Well, I'm going to be working with someone who has an AMD 64, so I need to set up multi-platform build. That'll be a subject for another video, but at least for a starting point, if you want to set up a dev container that works on your platform and you know you're going to share it with other people who have the same platform, this video will get you there. If you like this video, please feel free to drop a like. If you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing. And if there's other content that you want to see that I'm not covering, add a comment. I am taking suggestions. Thanks for watching.